What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my kitchen for Tahdig Variation 2 extra crispy rice. So some quick reminders: Tahdig, which translates from Farsi to bottom of the pot in English, is the absolutely delicious and very iconic crispy golden crust that you get when you're making Persian rice dishes. It is central to the cuisine and something that we definitely want to master as we start doing more Persian cooking. I have already made one video that I recommend starting with if this is your first time making tahdig. That variation used a blend of yogurt and rice to create that golden crust at the bottom of the pot. And the reason I want you to start there is twofold. One, I'm gonna go a little bit more in depth in that first video on how to sort of check for certain parts of the process. So I'll speed through that a little bit more today. And then two, and frankly more importantly, for building up your confidence and understanding the technique, it's more forgiving to start with the yogurt variation. The reason why is that the yogurt variation creates a blend of about 1.5 cups of our par-cooked rice with a few tablespoons of yogurt, and that mixture is a batter, right? So when we put that on the bottom of our well-oiled hot non-stick pot, we're kind of, if not guaranteeing, making it a lot more likely that when we flip the rice dish, it's gonna come out as one cohesive piece, which is like, that's the thing that you want with tahdig, right? The thing that we're doing today that's different, the process is 95% the same. The only thing that we're omitting is the yogurt. So that means we're only relying on the par-cooked rice and the oil that we're going to use to create that crispy crust. Now that means it's a little bit more finicky since we don't have a guaranteed batter, right? It also means that it's a lot more crispy. So the first variation is super crispy, but it has that moisture and savory quality from the yogurt. And this version without that moisture is just like major crunch, super crunchy. You might prefer one to the other. I love them both. I have a slight preference for the yogurt variation at this point, but yeah, let's explore. So what you need for today is 2 cups of white basmati rice that have been soaking in water for at least 30 minutes. Mine at this point is about an hour, and you can do up to an hour and a half. And remember, that's both to allow it to cook more evenly and quickly when you're parboiling it, and also to unlock the really special fragrant aroma of basmati rice. You want some neutral oil. I tend to use avocado oil. You could use a vegetable oil or like a refined coconut oil, that's just fine. You want a couple tablespoons of butter. You want the most sort of like authentic Persian dish to use would be a non-stick pot like so. This one is 4 quarts and 9 inches across. This kind of looks like a Dutch oven. It's about $15 from a Marshall's. So this is the most common one that you're gonna see for when like Persian moms and grandmas are making their tahdig. You could also use, I'll try this one today maybe, a non-stick stock pot. This one is also 9 inches across and about 3 to 4 quarts in terms of volume that it can hold. And then another option, if you don't have either of those things, is try a really good quality non-stick skillet. As long as it's at least 9 inches across and up to 10 to 11, that's just fine. It just won't be as deep with the rice. You should be able to get good results. So use whatever non-stick pot of about 9 inches across that you have. So let's go check out the next step. Okay, everybody, so now we have a stock pot full of boiling water. It is boiling real good. I'm gonna add a bunch of salt. You want this to be so salty that like you gag. It should be oceanic, not the kind of thing that you would casually sip or drink. And it's pretty rare that you're gonna oversalt this water because we're only doing this step of par-cooking the rice for about 5 to 10 minutes, depending on your stove. So it's really unlikely that you're going to get too salty of a rice as an outcome of this. So give that a stir once you add a ton of salt. Give it a little taste. If you kind of have the reaction I just did, that's like yuck, you're in good shape. So now that you've drained your rice, you're gonna go ahead and add it to the boiling water and set a timer for yourself of about 5 minutes. Let's check it then. And what we're looking for with par-cooked, as I explained in the first video, is almost cooked. It's not fully cooked, it's not fluffy. It should be, the individual grains should be tender, but a little bit stiff in the middle. Let's do a quick check. About 5 minutes have passed for me. I'm gonna take an individual rice grain. First, I'll just eat one. And it's pretty close to tender. We're going for like the rice equivalent of al dente here. So one of my tricks is I take an individual grain, I kind of squish it between my fingers, and it should be able to become a little bit of a paste with kind of a hard center. And I'm there, I'm ready. Okay, now just strain your rice in a colander. Easy. Okay, so I'm gonna do things a little bit differently this time and actually try a non-stick skillet so you can see how that works out. And I haven't made this variation in here before, so let's see, hopefully it works. I'm sure it will. So this is 10 inches across. I'm not gonna change really any quantities for anything. I'm going to grab a clean dish towel to wrap it around the lid. As a reminder, this is not only the way the grandmothers do it, but also a way to trap extra steam so that your tahdig doesn't get soggy. You want to have a couple tablespoons of butter to be able to just add a little bit more rich flavor, and then we want our neutral oil. All right, so I have my skillet over medium-high heat, and I want to get this skillet nice and warm, and then I'm going to add my 3 tablespoons of neutral oil. I used avocado. Spread that generously across the bottom so it's nice and even. And now we're going to do a couple of spatula-fulls of rice, kind of spread that evenly across the bottom. That's probably about 1.5 cups or 2. And with the remaining par-cooked rice, layer that in like a mound so that it's kind of a pyramid, and this is because the rice is going to expand as it cooks and we gotta give it room to do that. Poke a few holes about 50 to 80% of the way down, add a couple tablespoons of butter, and then go ahead and seal it. Okay, so 10 minutes have passed. I want you to take the temperature down from medium high to low and make sure that every couple of minutes you're rotating your pot. So I want you to take off the lid after about 40 minutes have passed from setting the tahdig, and just check the edges for some crispness. You should see that the edges are fried, that they're getting some golden color. At this point, it's not ready because the edges should be a little bit more colored than they are. So put the lid back on and let's give it another 10 or 15. Difficult to see at this angle, but you'll notice that the edges are a lot more golden. For me, a total of 35 minutes has passed. For you, this is probably going to be about the 50-minute mark. Let's go ahead and flip it. Okay, it's time for the flip, which means you've brought your pot of rice off of the stove. You have some pot holders so you don't burn yourself, and then you need a dish that is larger. But I'm not gonna use this, it's not big enough, I'm gonna hurt myself. You need a dish that's larger than the pot itself because we're gonna flip it over onto this pot. So, this is the moment where you like, say a prayer or whatever. And if you're intimidated by this, just scoop it out and crack the rice out. But here we go. Let's see. Awesome. So much like an aging octogenarian, I hit photo rather than video and just was talking over it. So here's a picture of the final product. It is crispy, it is golden, and ready to eat. Look at this, just a beautiful piece of tahdig. So that's it, y'all. Nushajan, enjoy. I hope that this works out well for you. Let me know how it goes, and if you have any questions, yeah, keep me posted. If you're nervous about the flip, just scoop out the rice and then kind of slice out your tahdig in pizza slices and enjoy.